Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to plunge into complex topics and pull out the key insights for you.
That's the goal.
And today, we're diving into something truly fundamental.
Yeah.
Think about an axolotl, with those feathery red gills sticking out.
Yeah, pretty striking creatures.
Or even a huge whale. It makes you wonder, how do all complex animals, including us, actually manage to get what they need from the environment and move it all around inside?
It's a massive challenge, biologically speaking. I mean, if you're just a single cell, it's straightforward. Direct exchange works fine.
Right.
But for anything bigger, diffusion, just simple diffusion, is painfully slow over any real distance. Think hours for glucose to move just 1 centimeter. Way too slow.
Life needed a workaround.
Exactly. And the solution? Specialized systems. You have respiratory systems for the exchange with the outside world and circulatory systems for the internal transport. They work hand in hand.
And that's our mission today, right? To unravel these incredible connected systems, circulation and gas exchange.
We'll look at the common threads across different species, why they're vital for keeping things stable inside homeostasis, and really why understanding this matters for your own body and the living world.
Okay, let's get into it. So this constant molecular trade oxygen and nutrients in, CO2 and waste out, it's universal for animals.
Absolutely. It's a basic requirement.
And like you said, diffusion just doesn't cut it for most of us. Your cells deep inside, they can't just grab oxygen from the air.
No way. So this limitation forced, adaptations. 2 main paths emerged. For simpler critters like hydras or flatworms, they have body plans where cells are pretty much in direct contact with the outside. Or they use a central cavity, a gastrovascular cavity, for both digestion and distribution.
Okay, so that works for the simple ones.
But for everyone else, the more complex animals, the big innovation was a dedicated circulatory system.
And any circulatory system, no matter the animal, seems to have 3 core parts. Yeah.
That's right. You absolutely need a circulatory fluid, the transport medium.
Like blood or something similar.
Exactly. Then you need a network of vessels, like pipes, to guide that fluid.
Makes sense.
And finally, you need a pump. A muscular pump, the heart, to drive it all.
Fluid, vessels, pump. Got it.
And these systems come in 2 main flavors, open and closed.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, in an open circulatory system, think of insects, clams, that sort of thing. The fluid, it's called hemolymph, isn't always stuck inside vessels. It actually directly bathes the organs in these spaces called sinuses.
So it's like the fluid is just sloshing around the organs.
Sort of, yeah. The heart pumps it into these sinuses, exchange happens, and then it gets drawn back into the heart. It usually runs at lower pressure, which can save energy, and sometimes it does different duty, like spiders use that hemolymph pressure to extend their legs.
Wait, really? They inflate their legs with fluid to move?
Pretty much. It's kind of wild.
Okay, so that's open. What about closed systems?
Closed systems are what you find in earthworms, squids, octopuses, and all its vertebrates. Here, the fluid blood stays inside the vessels, separate from the interstitial fluid around the cells. Ah, so it's contained.
Exactly. And because it's contained, you can build up much higher pressure.
Which is good for...
Or efficient delivery. Especially in larger, more active animals, it's probably why the really active molluscs, like squids, evolved closed systems independently. Higher pressure means faster, more efficient transport.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's zoom in on our system, the vertebrate cardiovascular system. It's huge, right? I read somewhere the vessels in 1 person could circle the Earth. Twice.
That's the stat. It's an incredible network, and it's made of 3 main types of vessels. You have arteries, strong muscular tubes carrying blood away from the heart. They branch into smaller arterioles.
Away from the heart, got it.
Then those arterioles lead into the capillaries. These are microscopic, super thin-walled vessels.
And that's where the exchange happens.
Precisely. This is the crucial interface. Oxygen, nutrients, waste. It all moves between the blood and the surrounding fluid here. Then, coming out of the capillaries, the vessels merge into venules, which then join up to form veins.
And veins bring blood back to the heart. Correct. And a really key point here. Arteries and veins are defined by the direction of flow relative to the heart, not whether they're carrying oxygenated blood or not. That's a common mix-up.
Right. Direction, not oxygen.
Right.
And the heart itself. It has chambers.
Yes, chambers. The atria are the receiving chambers where blood enters the heart, and the ventricles are the more muscular pumping chambers that push blood out.
Atria receive, ventricles pumps.
Now, looking across vertebrates, evolutionarily, we see 2 main setups. Fish have what's called single circulation. Their heart has just two chambers, one atrium, one ventricle.
Simple enough.
The ventricle pumps blood to the gills, where it picks up oxygen. But here's the catch. After squeezing through those tiny gill capillaries, the blood pressure drops way down.
Oh, okay.
So that lower pressure blood then flows directly to the rest of the body's capillaries before returning to the heart. This limits how fast blood can circulate overall.
So it's like one loop, but it loses steam after the gills.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's where double circulation comes in, found in amphibians, reptiles, mammals.
Us included.
Us included. Here, you have two distinct circuits. The pulmonary circuit sends oxygen-poor blood to the lungs to get oxygenated. Or in amphibians, it's the pulmocutaneous circuit, going to lungs and skin.
Okay, circuit 1. Lungs or skin.
Then you have the systemic circuit, which takes that freshly oxygenated blood and pumps it out to the entire rest of the body.
Circuit 2. Everywhere else.
And the huge advantage. The heart gets to pump the blood twice per cycle. After the blood comes back from the lungs, the heart gives it another powerful push before sending it out to the body.
Ah, so it gets repressurized.
Exactly. This means much higher pressure and more vigorous flow in the systemic circuit, essential for bigger, more active animals. And there are cool variations too, like frogs or crocs, they don't breathe continuously, right? Especially underwater.
Right.
So their hearts, 3 chambers in frogs, or a partially divided 4 in crocs, have adaptations, little ridges or vessel connections, that let them temporarily bypass the lungs and redirect blood flow when they're submerged.
That's clever. Shunt the blood away from useless lungs when underwater.
Very clever. Now contrast that with birds and mammals. We breathe continuously. And our hearts, powerful, fully 4-chambered organs. Left side handles only oxygen-rich blood, right side only oxygen-poor. No mixing.
Complete separation.
Complete separation. And this is fascinating. Birds and mammals evolved this 4-chambered heart independently. It's convergent evolution.
Why do they both arrive at the same solution?
High metabolism. Being endotherms, warm-blooded, means we burn energy like crazy. About 10 times more than a similar-sized reptile. We need way more fuel, way more oxygen delivered constantly.
Yeah.
That super efficient 4-chambered heart makes it possible.
Okay, let's bring it right home then, to the mammalian heart. Our heart. It's about fist-sized, right? Tucked behind the breastbone.
Yep, mostly cardiac muscle. An amazing, tireless pump. It works through a rhythm, a cycle of contraction and relaxation.
Systole and diastole.
Exactly. Systole is the contraction, the pumping phase. Diastole is the relaxation, the filling phase.
And cardiac output, that's how much blood it pumps.
Per minute, yes. It's your heart rate beats per minute times your stroke volume, which is the amount pumped by one ventricle in a single beat. Think about this. At rest, your heart pumps your entire blood volume, about 5 liters, around your body every single minute.
The whole volume every minute. That's incredible.
And during exercise, it ramps up massively, of course.
So how does it keep the blood flowing the right way? Valves. Crucial.
4 valves. 2 atrioventricular, or AV valves, between the atria and ventricles, and 2 semilunar valves where the ventricles pump out into the major arteries. They're like one-way doors.
Preventing backflow.
Precisely. They snap shut to stop blood from going backward. And that classic lubbed-up sound of a heartbeat, that's the sound of the valves closing. Lub is the AV valves, dupe is the semilunar valve.
And a heart murmur is a leaky valve.
Often, yes. Blood squishing back through a valve that doesn't close properly can make that sound.
Okay. Now, what actually makes the heart beat? Does the brain tell it to?
Well, mostly no. That's the ingenious part. The heart has its own built-in rhythm. It has specialized cells called autorhythmic cells. They act as the heart's internal pacemaker.
So it generates its own beat.
It does. Specifically, the sinoatrial SA node, often called the pacemaker, sets the tempo. It generates electrical signals that spread through the atria, causing them to contract.
Okay.
Then the signal reaches another node, the atrioventricular, AV node. And here's a critical detail. There's a tiny delay, about 0.1 seconds at the AV node.
Why the delay?
It's vital. It gives the atria just enough time to fully empty their blood into the ventricles before the ventricles get the signal to contract. Ensures efficient pumping.
Smart design.
Then the signal shoots down specialized fibers to the tips of the ventricles and spreads upwards, triggering that powerful ventricular contraction. We can actually track all this electrical activity with an ECG, an electrocardiogram.
So the heart has its own rhythm, but surely things can change the speed, right? Like when you get scared or exercise?
Oh, absolutely. While the SA node sets the basic rhythm, it's constantly influenced. Your nervous system can speed it up or slow it down. Hormones play a big role. Think adrenaline, epinephrine for that fight or flight response. Even body temperature affects it. So your heart rate adapts constantly to what your body needs moment to moment.
Constantly adjusting. Okay, let's move out to the vessels again. How are pressure and flow managed out there?
Well, the vessel structure is perfectly matched to the job. Arteries, handling that high-pressure blast from the heart, have thick, strong, elastic walls. They stretch with each pulse and then recoil, which helps keep the blood moving smoothly between beats.
Like shock absorbers.
Kind of, yeah. Veins, on the other hand, are dealing with much lower pressure blood returning to the heart, so their walls are thinner. And because the pressure is low, especially in your legs fighting gravity, veins have one-way valves inside them to prevent blood from pooling or flowing backward.
Valves in the veins, too. Interesting. Now, what about flow speed? You'd think blood would slow down in those tiny capillaries.
You would, wouldn't you? Like squeezing a garden hose makes water spray faster? But here's the amazing counterintuitive part. Blood slows down dramatically in the capillaries.
Really? Why?
Because while each capillary is tiny, there are billions of them. The total cross-sectional area of all your capillaries added together is vastly greater than the area of the arteries leading into them.
Ah, so it's like a huge river spreading out into a massive wide delta.
Exactly. And this slowdown is critical. It gives precious time for that vital exchange of oxygen, nutrients, CO2, and waste across the thin capillary walls via diffusion. Then, as the capillaries merge back into venules and veins, the total area decreases again, and the blood speeds up for its return trip.
Fascinating. And blood pressure itself, we hear numbers like 120/70. What does that mean again?
Right. That's the force blood exerts on vessel walls. The top number, systolic pressure, is the peak pressure when the ventricles contract. The bottom number, diastolic pressure, is the lower pressure when the ventricles are relaxed and filling, measured in millimeters of mercury, mil-AHg.
And our body keeps that pressure regulated.
Oh yes, tightly controlled, mostly by adjusting the diameter of the arterioles. If the body needs to raise pressure, smooth muscles in the arterial walls contract. That's vasoconstriction.
Narrows the pipe, raises pressure.
Yep. And if pressure needs to drop, those muscles relax, widening the vessel vasodilation. This is constantly happening to manage blood flow, respond to gravity. You know that feeling when you stand up too fast?
Yeah, lightheaded.
That's your system quickly trying to vasoconstrict to keep enough blood pressure pushing blood up to your brain against gravity. Also, simple muscle contractions, like when you walk, squeeze the veins in your legs, helping push that low-pressure blood back towards the heart.
So just moving helps circulation.
Absolutely. Now, in the capillaries themselves, flow is carefully managed. Even though you have billions, only maybe 5–10% are typically open for blood flow at any given moment.
So flow gets redirected.
Exactly. Need to cool down, more blood goes to capillaries in your skin. Just ate a meal. More blood heads to your digestive tract. It's regulated by those arterioles and also by tiny muscle rings called precapillary sphincters that can open or close off specific capillary beds.
In the exchange itself, how does stuff get across?
Small molecules like O2 and CO2 diffuse easily across the thin walls. But there's also movement of fluid. Blood pressure inside the capillary tends to push fluid out into the tissues, while proteins remaining in the blood tend to pull fluid back in.
But doesn't some fluid stay out in the tissues?
Yes, a fair bit. About 4 to 8 liters of fluid, along with some proteins, leaks out across all your capillaries every single day.
Oh, that sounds like a lot to lose.
It would be, but we have a recovery system, the lymphatic system. It's another network of vessels, kind of like a drainage system. It collects all that leached fluid, now called lymph, and eventually returns it to the bloodstream near the heart.
And lymph nodes, what do?
Along that lymphatic network are lymph nodes. They're like little filters packed with white blood cells. As the lymph flows through, these cells survey it for any signs of infection, like bacteria or viruses. That's why your nodes might swell up when you're sick. They're actively fighting something off.
The body's surveillance and drainage system. Neat. Okay, let's talk blood itself. What's actually in it?
Good question. Blood is technically a connective tissue. It's got cellular components suspended in a liquid matrix called plasma.
Plasma is the liquid part.
Right, about 55% of blood volume. It's mostly water, but it's packed with dissolved ions, proteins like albumin, which helps with osmotic balance and buffering, antibodies, clotting factors, and it transports nutrients, wastes, hormones.
Yeah.
It's the transport medium for everything.
The highway, basically. And the cells.
Three main types, all born from stem cells in your bone marrow. Most numerous by far are red blood cells, erythrocytes.
The oxygen carriers.
Exactly. They have that distinct biconcave disc shape which maximizes surface area for gas diffusion. And interestingly, mature red blood cells in mammals kick out their nucleus.
No nucleus. Why?
More room for hemoglobin. That's the iron-containing protein that actually binds the oxygen. Each red blood cell is crammed with millions of hemoglobin molecules, allowing it to carry about 1 billion molecules of oxygen.
1 billion per cell. Incredible.
Their production is regulated by a hormone called EPO, erythropoietin, which unfortunately is sometimes misused by athletes, and variations in hemoglobin structure can lead to conditions like sickle cell disease.
Okay, red cells carry oxygen. What else?
Then you have white blood cells, leukocytes. There are several different types, but their collective job is defense fighting infection, immunity. They're your internal army.
And the third type?
Platelets, these aren't even whole cells, they're small fragments, but they are absolutely essential for blood clotting.
Stopping bleeding. How does that work? That seems so fast.
It is fast. It's a complex cascade. When a vessel is damaged, platelets stick to the site and release chemicals. This triggers a chain reaction involving various clotting factors in the plasma, ultimately converting a soluble protein called fibrinogen into insoluble threads of fibrin.
Fibrin threads.
Yeah, these threads form a meshwork that traps blood cells and seals the leak, forming a clot. It's an amazing rapid response repair system. Of course, if this process is faulty, like in hemophilia, even minor injuries can be dangerous.
So clotting is good, but sometimes clots form where they shouldn't, right? Leading to heart attacks and strokes.
Exactly. Cardiovascular diseases are a huge health problem. A major underlying cause is atherosclerosis.
Hardening of the arteries.
That's the one. It's the buildup of fatty plaques, cholesterol, lipids, cell debris within the artery walls. This involves LDL, the bad cholesterol, and HDL, the good cholesterol that helps clear it. These plaques can narrow arteries, restricting blood flow.
And if a plaque breaks?
That's often the trigger. It can cause a blood clot to form right there. If that clot blocks a coronary artery supplying the heart muscle, that's a heart attack. The muscle tissue is starved of oxygen and can die. Chest pain or angina can be a warning sign.
And a stroke.
Similar idea, but in the brain. A clot blocks an artery in the brain, or a vessel ruptures, cutting off oxygen supply to brain tissue. Again, tissue death occurs. Treatments like stents to prop open arteries or bypass surgery exist, but prevention is key.
Lifestyle factors.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Regular exercise, a diet low in trans fats, not smoking, managing high blood pressure or hypertension, these make a massive difference in reducing risk.
Okay, we've covered circulation thoroughly. Let's switch gears to the other side of the coin. Gas exchange. Getting oxygen in and CO2 out.
Right. And first, let's be clear. Gas exchange is not the same as cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is how cells use oxygen to make ATP energy. Gas exchange is just the physical process of moving O2 and CO2 between the environment and the body's cells.
God. And it's driven by pressure differences.
Exactly. Partial pressure. Air is a mix of gases, right? The pressure exerted by just one specific gas in that mix is its partial pressure. And gases always diffuse passively from an area where their partial pressure is higher to an area where it's lower, down the gradient.
Like rolling downhill.
Precisely. This governs how oxygen moves from the air into your lungs, into your blood, and then into your tissues, and how CO2 moves the other way.
Does it matter if the exchange happens in air or water?
Oh, hugely. Air is great, lots of oxygen, it's light, easy to move. Water, much tougher. There's far less dissolved O2, and water is much denser and more viscous. Aquatic animals have to work much harder, expend more energy to get the same amount of oxygen.
So the environment shapes the respiratory system. Are there common features all respiratory surfaces share?
Yes, definitely. To maximize that diffusion, respiratory surfaces are always kept moist, they're very thin, and they have a really large surface area.
Moist, thin, large area. Like an earthworm's skin.
Perfect example for simple diffusion across the body surface. But more complex animals have specialized organs extensively folded or branched to maximize that surface area.
Like gills.
Exactly. Gills are the typical solution for aquatic animals. They're outfoldings of the body surface suspended in water. And crucial for gills is ventilation, actively moving water over the gill surface to maintain those partial pressure gradients. Without flow, the water near the gills would quickly run out of oxygen.
And fish gills are super efficient, right? Countercurrent something.
Countercurrent exchange, it's brilliant. Blood inside the gill capillaries flows in the opposite direction to the water flowing over the gills.
Opposite direction, why?
Think about it. As blood flows along the capillary, it continuously encounters water that has a slightly higher oxygen partial pressure than the blood does at that point. This maintains a favorable gradient for oxygen diffusion along the entire length of the capillary.
Ah, so it keeps pulling oxygen out efficiently the whole way.
Incredibly efficiently. Fish can extract over 80% of the oxygen dissolved in the water passing over their gills. It's way better than if blood and water flowed the same direction.
Amazing design. What about insects? They don't have lungs or gills like that.
No, they have something totally different, the tracheal system. It's this intricate network of air tubes that branch throughout the insect's entire body, opening to the outside via pores,
Tubes going everywhere.
pretty much directly to the tissues, even individual cells. This means their circulatory system, their hemolymph, plays almost no role in transporting oxygen. The air goes straight to where it's needed.
Wow, bypasses the middleman entirely.
It's a very effective system for small body sizes. And active insects, like flying ones with huge energy demands, can even actively pump air through these tracheal systems.
Okay, gills, tracheae, and then there are lungs, our system.
Lungs are the common solution for terrestrial vertebrates. Unlike gills, they're infoldings of the body surface connected to the circulatory system, which transports the gases.
And the pathway in mammals starts at the nose.
Yep. Air comes in the nostrils, gets filtered, warmed, humidified, passes through the pharynx, throat area, then the larynx, voice box, down the trachea, windpipe,
Trachea branches.
into two main bronchi, one for each lung. These then branch repeatedly into finer and finer tubes called bronchioles, like an upside-down tree.
And at the very tips.
Microscopic air sacs, called alveoli, millions of them. This is where the real gas exchange happens in the lungs.
Those must provide the large surface area.
Huge. In humans, the total surface area of the alveoli is about 100 square meters. That's like half a tennis court packed inside your chest.
Incredible.
And the alveoli walls are incredibly thin, just a single layer of cells surrounded by a dense network of capillaries. Oxygen dissolves in the thin film of moisture lining the alveoli and diffuses across into the blood. CO2 diffuses the other way.
What keeps them from collapsing? They seem so delicate.
Great question. They produce a substance called surfactant. It's a mix of phospholipids and proteins that coats the inner surface and reduces surface tension, kind of like detergent breaking water tension. It prevents the alveoli from collapsing when you exhale.
Is that important?
Vitally important. Premature babies often lack surfactant, leading to respiratory distress syndrome where their lungs collapse. Discovering surfactant and how to administer it was a massive medical breakthrough.
Okay, so that's the structure. How do we actually breathe? Move the air.
Different vertebrates do it differently. Amphibians use positive pressure breathing. They basically gulp air and force it down into their lungs.
Push it in.
Birds have a super efficient system with air sacs that allows air to flow in one direction through the lungs, both during inhalation and exhalation. Continuous flow, very good at extracting oxygen, especially helpful at high altitudes.
Wow, one-way flow. What about us mammals?
We use negative pressure breathing. Think of your chest cavity like a syringe. When you inhale, your diaphragm muscle contracts and pulls down, and your rib muscles contract, pulling the rib cage up and out.
Expanding the chest cavity.
Exactly. This increases the volume inside, which lowers the air pressure within your lungs compared to the outside air. Air then naturally rushes in to equalize the pressure.
Pulls the air in, like a vacuum.
That's the idea. Exhalation is usually passive. The muscles relax, the chest cavity shrinks, pressure inside increases, and air flows out.
And we don't breathe out all the air, right?
No. The amount you move in a normal breath is tidal volume. The maximum you can move is vital capacity. But there's always some air left in the lungs, the residual volume. This mixing of fresh and old air makes our system a bit less efficient than the bird's one-way flow, especially at altitude.
So who controls this? Do we have to think about breathing?
Mostly no, thankfully. It's primarily involuntary, controlled by breathing centers in the brainstem, specifically the medulla oblongata.
What does the medulla monitor? Oxygen levels?
Primarily, no. It mainly monitors the pH of the cerebrospinal fluid bathing the brain. Why pH? Because CO2 levels in your blood directly affect pH.
How so?
CO2 dissolves in blood and fluid, forming carbonic acid, which lowers pH. So if you exercise, you produce more CO2, pH drops slightly. The medulla senses this pH drop and signals your breathing muscles to increase the rate and depth of breathing.
So breathing faster gets rid of the excess CO2 and brings pH back to normal.
Precisely. It's a beautiful feedback loop focused on CO2 and pH balance. Oxygen sensors exist, but they usually only kick in to stimulate breathing if O2 levels get dangerously low.
Okay, one last big topic, transporting all that oxygen. You said blood plasma doesn't hold much.
Right. Oxygen isn't very soluble in water or plasma. If we relied just on dissolved oxygen, we couldn't possibly transport enough to meet our metabolic needs, not even close.
So we need something to carry it.
We need respiratory pigments. These are proteins that contain metal atoms and bind reversibly to oxygen, dramatically increasing the blood's oxygen-carrying capacity. In mammals, it boosts it from about 4.5 milliliters of O2 per liter of blood to around 200 milliliters per liter.
A massive increase.
Absolutely game-changing. Hemoglobin is the main one in vertebrates.
Hemoglobin, we talked about it in red blood cells, iron containing.
Yes, each hemoglobin molecule has 4 subunits, and each subunit contains an iron atom in a heme group. That iron is what actually binds the oxygen molecule, so one hemoglobin carries 4 O2.
And there's something special about how it binds. Cooperativity.
Yes, cooperativity. It's really clever. When the first oxygen molecule binds to one subunit, it causes a slight shape change in the whole hemoglobin molecule, making it easier for the other 3 subunits to bind oxygen.
Like opening the door makes it easier for others to come in.
Good analogy. And the reverse is also true. When one oxygen molecule leaves a subunit in the tissues, it makes it easier for the remaining oxygen molecules to be released as well.
So it picks up oxygen readily in the lungs where O2 is high and dumps it efficiently in the tissues where O2 is low.
Exactly. It makes oxygen loading and unloading much more efficient over the range of partial pressures found in the body.
Is there anything else that helps it unload oxygen where needed?
There is. It's called the Bohr shift. Tissues that are working hard are producing more CO2. This CO2 lowers the pH in that local area. And it turns out that a lower pH decreases hemoglobin's affinity for oxygen.
So where the cells are most active and need oxygen the most, the lower pH makes hemoglobin release its oxygen more readily.
Precisely. It's another layer of targeted delivery. Hemoglobin also helps buffer blood pH and carry some CO2 back to the lungs, but its main job is that efficient, targeted oxygen transport.
It's all so interconnected. Are there extreme examples of these systems being adapted?
Oh, absolutely. Think about deep-diving mammals, like Weddell seals or Cuvier's beaked whales. They can stay submerged for incredible length of time.
How do they manage the oxygen?
Several ways. They store huge amounts of oxygen, they have proportionally more blood than we do, and their muscles are packed with a related oxygen-storing protein called myoglobin.
So they load up before dive.
Big time. And during the dive, they conserve it brilliantly. They slow their heart rate, collapse their lungs, and shunt blood flow away from muscles and non-essential organs, directing it primarily to the brain and heart. Their muscles can even switch to anaerobic fermentation for ATP when oxygen runs low locally.
Amazing physiological adaptations.
Truly shows the power of evolution and tailoring these fundamental systems to extreme environmental challenges.
Well, that brings us full circle. We've journeyed from simple diffusion to the complex interplay of hearts, vessels, lungs, gills, blood, and pigments. It's breathtaking, really.
It is. The complexity, the efficiency, the way it all integrates to allow every cell in a complex body to function, from the shared basic principles to the incredible diversity of adaptations.
And underpinning it all, that drive for internal balance, homeostasis. These systems are absolutely core to maintaining that steady state needed for life.
Couldn't have said it better.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into circulation and gas exchange.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating journey through our own biology. Now, here's something to think about. We understand these mechanics pretty well, but as our knowledge grows, what subtle links might we find? Could tiny variations in circulatory efficiency, for instance, impact things like mood or cognitive function, or even long-term resilience in ways we don't fully appreciate yet? The body's connections might be even deeper than we currently know.